Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we explore the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Milan Kohort, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the strategies fueling future growth. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Kelly Ann Parker, the bootstrapped founder of Send Ribbon, a corporate gifting business acquired in 2020 by UrbanStems, and now the founder and advisor at Launch, Grow, Exit. She honed her growth and operations expertise in leadership roles at DoorDash, Indeed, and Managed by Q, which was acquired by WeWork, before scaling Send Ribbon from startup to a successful exit. Today, she equips female founders with hands-on strategies for product market fit, go-to-market execution, and profitable exits through one-on-one advising, content, and speaking. With that being said, Kelly, let me officially welcome you to Founders Future.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. This is going to be a cool conversation, lots of things to cover. So we're just going to dive right into it. And how I love to open up with every single one of my guests is with a bit of traveling back in time. So before even launching this current company of yours and just knowing the past of Send Ribbon, just walk us through that journey, whatever it was like before starting this current company, and also what is the motivation now for you to make the pivot and get into this new space?
So, I would say that my journey really started as a child. I always had like an entrepreneurial spirit. School wasn't my thing. So I gravitated to startups right out of college. And prior to launching Send Ribbon, I had worked at a lot of early stage startups that grew into really big technology companies. So while I was at the last startup managed by Q, I started testing Send Ribbon with my current book of business and clients and came about an idea in the corporate gifting space. Fast forward, I built it, I bootstrapped it, threw my blood, sweat, and tears into it, and finally was able to sell it at the right time during COVID because corporate gifting had really exploded during that time. The only way you could reach someone was through gifting, right? Everyone was at home. There was no conferences or events. So it was really a business that was able to grow during that time. And when I finally reached my full exit and walked away from the business after a year being in house of UrbanStems, I realized that two things. One, I realized so much about myself that I need to relearn and continue to grow. And secondly, I had all of these founders reaching out to me for support and help. And I knew the type of help that they needed was not, a multi-million dollar program, right? They're small business owners that are bootstrapping. So I designed Launch, Grow, Exit to really help founders who were like me, who needed someone in a pinch and didn't have access to resources to invest in, an annual subscription or program. So far, so good. I've been able to help over 75 founders and really excited about what's to come with Launch, Grow, Exit.
Yeah, Kelly, you have an amazing story though. As I started looking into your website and social media and just knowing there is some big players that you used to work for back in the day in that corporate zone. But so like I love the also the fact that you found enough time and you were brave enough to actually try something on your own, which turned out to be a huge success. So I love that. And also now you're trying to leverage all of that experience and help others on their way. So it's beautiful though. We're going to build much more clarity when it comes to what it feels like for these other founders to work with you. So, like now, with this in mind, that knowing that this is a new venture that you're focusing most of your time, let's build some clarity for the audience on who is it exactly that you currently describe as that avatar, if you want to call it that way, or the ICP, that ideal client that you want to serve, and what is really that core offering for them? What does it feel like to work with you?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So, my ICP is traditionally a female founder that's bootstrapping. And why I have this ICP is because that's who I was, right? And the stats are out there. Only 2% of women ever receive venture capital to start their business. Excuse me.
Let's see.
Um, so only 2% of women receive venture capitals to start their business. So, I know that there's a way bigger market. 98% of women do not get that traditional funding, or do not get venture capital funding. So they have to find other methods of traditionally growing a business, right? And that's bootstrapping, grants, SBA loans. So I've created the opportunity to work with me in a no contract, no long term commitment way where I'm like a co founder or advisor on speed dial. So my calendar is completely open to the public. I offer 45-minute sessions at the lowest rate of $100 a session. After each session, a woman, you know, founder has the opportunity to receive all the notes and they could book at any time because that's exactly what I needed. When I was building a business, there were a ton of resources out there, but I didn't have a sounding board as a solopreneur.
Mhm.
And I really think that a lot of the the resources out there with the age of AI and tooling, things that didn't I didn't have in 2017, 2018, 2019 of building this business are now readily accessible, but there's always a need for human connection and to talk through business decisions. So I work with women as early as they're leaving their careers or they're rejoining the workforce as an entrepreneur, either post maternity leave or after a major layoff. Um, I work with brands that have already been in market for a year or two and are trying to get from one to two. And then on the back end, I do support women in their exits. So everything that I wish I had known earlier in my own exit experience is shared among them, and a lot of it is pointing them in the right direction, right, to the best lawyers and operators and marketers that I know that are vetted within my network so that these founders are set up for long-term success.
hmm Yeah. Kelly, in terms of how this is going to work long term, I'm very curious though, because you're definitely one of those people who is bringing a ton of experience and knowledge to the table, but at the same time, you're making it very affordable, even for those women who are just starting or in that pivotal moment. So I love the idea, but in terms of putting this company in a position where it can grow and scale and really serve more and more people, what's the plan? Is it about having other consultants or advisors potentially in the future working under you, or what is your thought process on this?
Yeah. So for me, as an exited founder, I have a very minimal revenue goal at this point. I think every woman and female founder should, swing to the fences and go after their dreams. Mine are fairly minimal, and I will say it is to cover my expenses, rent, and lifestyle. I live in New York City. It's a very expensive city, so I have to make sure that there's a roof over my head. But the way I earn is actually through brand partnerships and content and speaking. So, and referral network, right? So I'm able to optimize my salary and bring that in for the business so that I could keep it at a low rate for founders.
This is a very interesting structure, though. When it comes to, I'm curious though, because typically what we do is we switch it up from the front end to behind the scenes of the business and also provide some value when it comes to like your marketing strategies, the operations, the sales side. Now, with you, again, it's an interesting structure, but if there is any chance that somebody listening to this right now is actually wishing to be in a similar position or is curious about how it truly works with those brand partnerships and doing the speaking gigs and you being on conferences, what is your plan to making sure that the business is basically supporting the vision on both ends? Like you can still support women who are maybe not even in a position where they could afford like a one-on-one consultant or a coach,
Right.
but it's still covering all of your expenses and supporting that lifestyle, like you put it. What's the plan?
Yeah, so the plan right now is I have a limited amount of time, right? So on my calendar, you will see what sessions are available. And I do this as a for a reason, right? Because I can't serve everyone and I don't want to be working 80 to 100-hour work weeks. So I limit it to open sessions. And from there, the revenue is really driven by the clients because like I'm kind of a diagnosis, right? Like I'm telling them what product or service that they may need. I'm making introductions. So all of it comes back full circle because when they have a good experience, they tell three other people, right? So it's really about creating that community. And the long term goal is to have a subscription model, not just for one-on-one, but a actual community subscription so that I could serve more. But for right now, one-on-one 45-minute sessions at $100. I don't know anyone that is at that low of a rate. But I do it truly because they they will then have that, like, it comes back into the business, if that makes sense, because if I send someone out to my marketing agency or my lawyer, it all comes back within the referral network.
It does make a lot of sense, but I gotta say one thing, Kelly, you're unique. Like I love that this is the perspective that you have. You would probably agree with me that 98% of those people who are in a similar position would think about it in a different way and be like, hey, I mean, with all of the success that I had in the past, like I can genuinely afford like asking for like 2K per 1 hour of my time and just completely put it upside down. But you're genuinely coming from a great place of like, hey, I want to help as many people as possible. So and also when it comes to this, especially when it comes to like business coaching and advisory and consulting, I think over the past few years, there is more and more of those professionals who are building their communities. So would you say that the idea is to really build like a very affordable community, let's say like on a month-to-month basis for people to pay? Or would it be like a high-end, like high ticket sort of community, small groups of people, or just tell us more about that vision.
Yeah, so the vision is actually not a traditional community where you would pay for membership. It's a little bit more of an exploratory um, way of highlighting female founders. So it's not just educational, but it's not just my resources, but it's also highlighting other women, right, who have launched a business, grew a business, or exited a company. So there's really a storytelling aspect that I want to bring in other uh, women's stories so that people can learn from it. So, we're cooking on the idea. It's definitely not going to be a high ticket thing. My goal, like, is very much to as like I said, to keep this just as a minimum and a opportunity for women to know that they don't have to pay for this glamorous like luxury experience, because I think that there's a lot of like vanity metrics and KPIs out there that, or like looking great on Instagram, right, like is like kind of sold to people and business owners of how they have to act and behave or like show how their business is. And like for me, it's always going to be like the real gritty, like came from nothing to building it. And that's the truth. I started my business with $5,000 and I sold it to a Series C company. So like I'm never going to be that person that now, changes my lifestyle dramatically or anything like that. Like I'm still a small business owner at heart, and I want to make sure that I can continue to hold that sentiment for, as long as I can.
Yeah. Well, this is amazing. Good for you. Again, I'm quite amazed by how you think about this opportunity. It's just very inspirational. At least I find it that way. And I think it's going to go through like a lot of different iterations until you find a sweet spot in terms of how is this going to work on the deliverable model and the fulfillment side, and also just being confident in your ability to help many people through something like
Right.
this. But what are you expecting? Or okay, let me reframe this. In terms of the short-term perspective, making this reality, maybe just by the end of this year, what sort of stage are you looking to be in? Like, what is the next step for you? What should happen over the course of the next months? What are you targeting as your next mark or the next goal?
Yeah. So the next goal is definitely, like I said, we're working on a subscription and or podcast opportunity to highlight the stories of women who are launching, growing, or exiting a company. I think there's different resources and opportunities for each of those segments. So that's one of the main things that I'm working on now. But yeah, truthfully, the only thing that I'm working on is my salary number. I'm not trying to, aim to the fences and swing for the fences and make this a multi seven figure business. Like this is truly my 9 to 5, right? So like all I need is what I need to survive. And that's how I view it. Like if I hit my target number by Thursday afternoon and want to go to the beach on Friday, that's what I'll do, right? So this is truly a lifestyle business for myself as a solopreneur to help as many female founders as I can.
What are you expecting to stand in the way of this, though? If you think about how this could operate ideally, what do you think is going to be the biggest bottleneck in that?
I would say the biggest bottleneck will probably be demand, right? Like there are going to be way more founders than opportunities to have a session. Right now, I'm really fortunate that, when my sessions are booked, they're booked and people book for the following week or the, 2 weeks out. But I think that's going to be the hardest part is limiting sessions and keeping the rates the same, right? So I think at one point there will be a priority to people that buy a few sessions in advance versus on demand sessions, like where you just buy a one off. But for right now, the model is working, and I'm really happy to say that all of my founders that have trusted me and have had sessions have purchased from one of my vetted vendors and partners. So it just comes back full circle into the business, right? So like there hasn't been a time where someone hasn't told like taken action in another way that has come back to the business. So that will continue to be the model. Where I see a huge opportunity is brand partnerships, right? Where I'm able to post or represent a brand for my founders. I think that there's a lot of opportunity to get products and awareness of brands to my community. And I see that as a really big opportunity through content.
Mhm. Well, everybody, this is what happens when you successfully build a company, you exit at the right time, and this is what you get to do. You create a passion project slash lifestyle business and you put the most towards it. So I love it. Kelly, if you could travel back to those early stages of building Send Ribbon and just going through that venture and building it out, I'm curious, what would be the best piece of advice that you would actually give to that younger version of you? Something that you didn't know back then, but you do know now.
Yeah, I think, I built at a time where founders were expected to work, 14 to 16-hour days and not get up from their desk and really like burn the candle at both ends. And it was just like this, like almost like martyrdom, like, oh, you're a founder, like you're going to do everything it takes for your cause or like the mission of the company. And I lost a little bit of myself in that, where so much of my identity was, okay, the gifting girl, right? Like our go-to person for corporate gifting. And I hated being behind the scenes and making everyone else's like holidays or, special occasions special. And I realized like when I came up for air, like I didn't get to celebrate those things with my family and friends, right? And like I was the person behind the curtain, like orchestrating all of these things. And when I finally exited, I didn't have, I didn't have this big check or outcome that, completely changed my life where I didn't have to work ever again, right? That's not the case. Like I certainly had to work again and think of what I'm going to do next, but I also had to learn how to be Kelly Parker again outside of Sen Ribbon. And I think that's something that I share the sentiment a lot with founders because it's so easy to tie a founder to a business and it's really hard to walk away from it when you feel like that's all you had been for 3+ years.
Yeah, I think this is a solid point though. I feel like it's very easy to mess up when it comes to creating and accepting that identity that we created for ourselves when it comes to being a business owner, entrepreneur, and how you operate on a day-to-day basis. Do you feel like this is one of those like biggest contributors for you now really focusing on that lifestyle business slash having that sort of freedom and balance in your life? This experience in particular?
I do. I think, I'm also at an age and a stage in my career where I can earn, a six-figure salary that's comfortable, that allows me to, still take vacation. And, tomorrow's St. Patty's Day. I certainly will not be working. So, like, I do love the flexibility of creating a life and lifestyle that works for me. I do things that benefit my business, but also benefit my personal life. Like, I'll just share an anecdote. I am a diehard Mets fan and I love baseball and I love the New York Mets so much that I travel to a new stadium every year to see the Mets play. And while I'm in that city, right, like I will either host an event or, try to attend a conference or meet founders in that city. So, like, I do things now to support my lifestyle versus a business supporting my life. And that's the biggest change in building the second time around.
Well, I mean, isn't this the end goal? I think it is. So I love it. Kelly, you have a beautiful story, beautiful journey. So I'm grateful that you found some time today and shared the story with me and the audience that we have here. So thank you. And if we have anybody who's listening to us right now, maybe who would like to know more about you or just follow the story from this point, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, the best way for people to get in touch is Kellyanne Parker on LinkedIn, and on TikTok and Instagram. My handle is Launch Grow Exit.
Beautiful. Thank you again. It was a pleasure to have you on here.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed today's conversation.
My pleasure. Now, to our listeners, if today's conversation inspired you as well, make sure to subscribe to Founders Future on your favorite platform. And also, if you're a business owner, more specifically a consultant or a coach, or you have an agency and you're trying to scale the business and really enhance both your sales and marketing efforts, also visit closers.io, get in touch with our team, and discover how exactly we scaled our company from zero to over 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on crushing it, and I'll see you on the next one.